Good morning, Breakfast Club family. This is Mark Stevens with your host, Joe Shoup. Top of the morning to you. Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. We got a very good topic this morning that'll help everybody. I'm looking forward to hearing it, and I'm looking forward to you getting some great information and making it work for you. So we're going to get right into it, being that we have a half an hour. We try to keep it to a half an hour. Well, welcome to the people that come every Tuesday at noon, and welcome to any new people that we have here today. So with that being said, good morning, Joe. How are you?
Good morning, Mark. How are you? I'm doing fantastic and amazing.
Well, you know what? That's great. But I'm heading to phenomenal because what we talked about earlier this morning, that gentleman I talked to, 5,000 clients.
Wow, that's exciting. That is exciting.
But we're going to be getting together soon.
That is a great story. And that is a great story. I probably should share that today, at least a little bit of it. But that's just all a matter of you know what, the key to this business. There's a catch. There's this actual catch when we talk about do this, do that, and how this can be done, and so on. There's a catch to it all, and the catch is called WORK. You got to go to work, and that story is a result of going to work, and that's all there is to it. That's the bottom line. But you have to know how to work here, and I think that's a real big problem in this industry, Mark. So, I mean, there's people on the call that'll be from other companies other than Legacy for Life or Zango or whatever companies people have come from for the Breakfast Club. All the information that you and I have it pertains to anybody, no matter what company you're in, whether it's Karatbars, doesn't make any difference. That's right. It all pertains to the same thing because we talk about basics, and I'm excited. We've been talking, for the past week, and as you know, I'm redoing the information, the slides, the recordings for the networking communication class, and it's exciting. So I'm very, very excited about that. I know I know there's only one other person that actually have seen this right now, and I think they're probably on the call here today. But the key is you got to go to work, and you got to do the right things here. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what company you're from or how big you are in your company. You have to do the right things here. All this nonsense about just go talk to people and then bring them to me is just never worked. It's never going to work. 70 years in this industry, it's never worked. So I don't know why people keep repeating the same instructions that just never pan out. They just don't work. So you got to learn basics business stuff. So that's what you're doing, Mark, is just a result of that, of understanding business. And one of the keys to our business is that we have to find people locations. As you know, other companies, when you start a business, in your town or wherever you are, you have one location when you start, and then you get a certain amount of income out of that business. If you do the right homework, you realize that no matter where you go, you do the demographic, you can be successful, but you're going to be limited in a location to the amount of income that you can earn in a brick and mortar business, because in order to, you're just going to tap out the numbers. And so when you want to make more money, obviously you have to go find another location, and then you'll make, hopefully twice as much money, or at least you'll have another income from the second one. But in our industry, we don't have physical locations. We have to find people locations, places where people just like you and me, have a home base where they conduct business. And in that home base, two things have to happen. Product has to move. So in other words, you have to move some product a little bit. And then you have to find other people who want to move a little bit of product. And that's why they call this a numbers game. And so That's what you're doing. I know. I see it, and I'm excited about that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story, Mark?
Well, I was doing some cleaning, and like I was telling you, Joe, my wife asked me sometimes, why do you keep a lot of this stuff? And I would tell her over the years, I said, well, I keep it because, I'll use it. I may not use it today, but I'll use it in the future. And that's why I keep certain things that pertain to business and everything. And what happened was that me being a financial planner by profession, all these years I accumulated different business cards and everything. And as I was cleaning up, I knew I had this, but I just never had gone through it. And I went through this box of cards, and it was a bunch of business cards and names of people that I have talked to and people that I know. And I ran across this, so I said, let me, maybe I'll call some of these people because they're in the financial service arena. And so I called this guy, and I didn't get him, but I got the same voicemail that I got 10 or 15 years ago when I would call his office.
Mm-hmm.
So I left him a message, and Joe, while you and I were on this morning talking before our broadcast now, he called and left a message. And when we got off, I called him back and we talked, and it was the same guy. And I began to share with him, and he said, man, that's hard to believe, but I would like to see it. And I said, well, Ron, you've been in the business a number of years. How many clients do you have? He said, over 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, then we definitely got to get together and share. And so that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do.
No, that's amazing. That's I'm getting an echo for some reason. Are we echoing? No, there we go.
No, I don't hear us echoing.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, that's an example of another people location. So all that has to happen now is for this fellow to get some information. That'll happen through the next piece of dialogue. He'll look at some information, see if they're on the same page. And assuming that this fellow says, I'm excited, I want to be part of what you're doing, and he registers and moves forward, there's another location where product and service will move through that particular channel, and Mark will get a piece of it. Now, that's what has to happen. Product and service have to move from manufacturer to consumer in any business and every business on the planet. And then you get in the middle of that transaction somewhere, and that's what Mark did. He'll be in the middle of those transactions because he caused it to happen by locating an interested party.
And Joe, here's another thing that we always talk about terminology and perception. It has to make sense. Now, go to knowledge for a minute. People say that knowledge is power, and I always beg to differ with them and tell them that, to me, that's not true. It's the use of knowledge that's powerful, but what you have to have, what you call work, and I call work, but it's activity, because activity will always outdo knowledge. Without activity or work, you can have all the knowledge in the world. It's not going to do you any good.
Very true. Very true. And that brings us to the, I don't care what people think, Mark, about, talking about the communication class. It's a networking communication class, and it's one of a kind. And everybody knows it when they take that class. It's a foundational class that teaches you how to get your business going. It teaches you how to actually communicate with people. And then my guess, Mark, is that if I asked, live to someone without them Googling or looking, what does communication really mean? What does that mean to you? Or tell me what you think it is. Give me a definition. I suspect that most people wouldn't be able to answer it accurately. And I know that sounds a little ridiculous, but it's not. I don't know many people that really can give you the real definition of it. And we teach that in the class, the actual definition and what it means in layman's terms. Because if you don't understand that, you're not going to communicate with your prospect. you're not going to be able to give the message that you really want to give. Now, you might be able to say it, but you won't know if you're communicating. Probably should share my screen a little bit on that. But, the topic of today, kind of the talking points was, I put this out there, I probably disturbed some people with, most directors don't know what they're doing. And it's true, they don't. And what I mean by that is people don't know how to do a three-way call. Well, they may know how to do it based on what they've learned over the years, which has been wrongly taught, is to get on and talk to people and saying hi and bonding and how are you, and the weather's good and it's nice, and my sister used to live in your city and I've been there many times, and then try to be so nice that that they'll just like you and want to follow you. And that's so wrong. People don't do that. And yet so many people have been taught to do that. And I know I get many complaints, Mark, after the class about what these people were used to by taking their prospects to what they called either an upline or a director, and that how that director handled the call, which basically chased the person away. I mean, not always. There's a format for the call. There's an actual blueprint that shows you what steps to follow in a director call. What are the steps? That's what you should be asking when you want to do a three-way with someone. You should ask them, well, what are your steps? When I bring my client or my prospect to you, what do you do? Tell me the outline, the game plan, so that we can get them registered. Because I believe we have a match with this person, and I do want to introduce them to you, and I want to make sure I know what you're going to say. So what is the format? That's what I would ask. And if it didn't fit what I wanted it to look like, you wouldn't be doing that call for me. I don't have that problem, obviously. I don't have that problem, but let me shut my Skype off here. But it's important to understand this is one of the biggest mistakes people make, is taking a prospect to a director who doesn't know what they're doing. And I feel bad for the director because they really don't have any training on exactly what to do. And that's, again, part of that class is, teaching people what to do, teaching a director, teaching the affiliate, the partner, how to introduce the director, and then teaching the director how to make that call, how to actually get that person to registration. We call the director, Mark. I mean, the rest of the people in our companies, they picked up on it and said, well, what's a director? No, I'm not talking about an official title in one of your companies. I'm talking about a person who directs one to registration. That's what a director means. And it can't be done by just anybody. So most people, in my experience, they just don't know how to do it. And it's frustrating because I know people they say to you, once you introduce them to me, just don't say anything. I'll handle it all. And then, of course, you're sitting there on that end and you're wishing, you could jump in and say something because they're not saying the right thing. And of course, that's not the right thing either. You got to be quiet. And if you don't like what that person did, then don't take them back to them. But again, the key to that is to find out what this person's going to do. What is the outline? What are the topics you're going to cover? How are you going to get them to registration? How are you going to find out if this is really the right person? I think it is. And I want you to answer questions for me. But when the person on the other end, the prospect, says, well, Bob, why don't you tell me about your compensation plan? Where does the director go with that? What are they supposed to be doing? I mean, maybe most people, which I think is true, expect them to go through a whole dissertation about how the comp plan works. Why in the world would anybody do that? I mean, I don't care how much money you're making in any company, how big you are in the company. Why would you direct them? You have videos and all kinds of stuff to do that. Why would you do that? Why in the world would you do that? I mean, you direct them to the video, of course. And certainly you can't say, well, I can't answer that. Just go to the video. There's a way to do it. There's a way to talk. That's what the class is about. Communication, communicating a message. I talk, you listen. You tell me, here's what you heard. I say, yes, that's what I said. That's exactly what I said. They say, okay, then I got it. So now we've communicated. I talked, you listened, you heard me, you say back, I heard this. And I say, yep, that's true. I verify it. And most people don't operate and don't communicate like that. They talk, hoping, wishing, thinking that the person on the other end is hearing them and and they're getting their message communicated. And as we know, just because you're talking don't mean they're listening. And there's a monster mistake made during communications, especially in that three-way call. So maybe we could show a little bit of this, Mark. I know I'm just, I've had so many phone calls last week about this director call and people asking me, I've listened to this. On July 7th, we did a director call. We called it the anatomy of a director's call. And we had a massive number of people go in and listen to that audio. And I suggest that you go back and listen to that on July 7th. You'll notice it because it had 204 people that went in and listened to it. And we don't usually get that kind. We get, 40, 60, 80 people sometimes. On average, probably 50, 60 people go in and listen to the call. But on July 7th, the following week, we did the second part of that, a follow-up, and got about 70, 75 people listen to that. But we had that. That's the way you'll recognize. So if you're new here on this call and you want to know what we're talking about, go listen to that call. July 7th, go to YouTube and go to me, Joe Shoop's YouTube, and go search it out and then go look for that day. It's only about 5 back, 5 or 6, 7 back, and you'll be able to see it. You'll understand what we're talking about. More importantly, take the class. You'll really see. So we've created a new class. It's similar. It's pretty much the same, I should say. We've added to it. We've enhanced it tremendously. Mark, you got to look at it. What do you think?
I am elated. It's professional. It gets to the point, and you learn a lot because, again, we keep saying it, terminology and perception. It has to make sense. And that director call is very, very important. And you can't be on there 10, 20, 30 minutes because you may talk yourself out of somebody you may want to work with.
Yeah.
You run away.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes even the director makes is that they think just because they have that three-way going on is that, oh my gosh, I just got to tell the person how wonderful it is. I really have somebody special now on the phone. And the truth is, what people fail, I think I can show that in a minute, to understand is one of the jobs of the director and even the partner, the affiliate, is to determine whether this person is really a candidate for our business. Instead of thinking everybody that you talk to is a candidate. That's not true. We know that's not true. We know that you can talk to 10 people and maybe 2 people have a real interest. So that means the other 8 are not candidates. How do you figure that out? I mean, if you don't communicate properly, if you don't get your message across properly, if you don't listen to them, if you can't hear what they're saying instead of going on and on and on about what your company does and what, how wonderful it'll be, you're never going to hear what's on their mind. You got to determine, is this really a candidate? Very simple question. There's an old thing in sales that says when you don't have the sale yet, then the last thing you do is ask for the sale. And our asking for the sale is very simple. With a little bit of coaching and training and a lot of support, can you see yourself doing what it takes to learn how to be successful and learn what our company, how to be successful with our company? Can you see that, Mary? Mary says yes, then look, we basically have a match. Mainly because we got to put the shoulder pads and helmet. That's one way to look at it, or get her up to the plate, or and see what she's really made of. Is she really willing to do what it takes? She said she was, but let's put her through. Now, when you get them registered, what do you do then? I'll tell you what most people do. They get nervous because they don't know what to do with them, because they don't have a game plan. And that's part of the teachings is the game plan. What is your game plan? Let me show this real quick, Mark. We got about 9 minutes left. I'll just open this up if I can. I just have a kind of a mock-up here. This is some of the slides from the class, and it's just give you an idea what this is going to look like. Okay, here we go. Mark, tell me if you can see the screen. I don't know if you can see that yet. Can you see it? Mark?
Not yet.
Huh. I don't know what happened. I clicked share again. I don't know why we went through this before. Let's try this again.
You hit your full screen?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, entire screen. I clicked share and it's not clicking. Let's try it one more time. There it goes. How's that? You should see it now.
Yes, I see it now.
Okay, good. I don't know if anybody can talk or chat in there and tell us if they see it, but I think if you see it, we're going to see it. But this is the opening slide to the class, and again, it's all audio and it's visual. It has an audio to it and so on, where you can hear this class. And if we do it live, obviously there'd be live communication going on. But many times I've done this communication class just like you see there in this classroom. Mark, can we see if anybody has the ability? I can't go back to the control room. If you can do that, let me know. Is anybody chatting in there? I don't know if they can. I don't think I turned that off. If I did, no big deal. We'll just move on from here.
Yeah, Frank says yes. So.
All right, good. Good. So this is basically, what this class is about. It's a networking communication class. It's about terminology, perception, having to make sense. In other words, the language that you use, the terminology you use creates a perception, and that perception better make sense. That's what we talk about all the time. And this is just a little thing on me on how long this class has been going on. Thousands of people have gone through this class. But this whole class is the result of 20 years of research and education on some of the most respected and accomplished networkers and communication experts in the world. That's where it came from, other people. And the class is about thinking. It's all about thinking. And let me tell you, on that screen, pretty soon, if you haven't seen it, don't see it right now, this is one of the greatest thinkers of all time, this guy. We all know Steve Jobs. What a great businessman and thinker. And I read something, I actually saw something recently that said, had he not sold his Apple stock today, of course, they fired him or got rid of him and then brought him back. But in the meantime, when they got rid of him, he sold all his stock except for a handful. Had he not sold all that at that time, and just held on to it and had it when he came back, he would today be the richest man in the world. Well, would have been. But he didn't. It's okay. But he came back and saved Apple and make it the company that it is today. This was the real genius behind our computers today. And but this class is about thinking. But if you notice, it says, nothing's going to happen unless you take action. Mark said that earlier. And there's the description of the class. It's about learning how to properly conduct yourself and as a result, find the interested people, therefore increasing your people locations and ultimately your profits. And to do it effectively, you have to have some type of system when you communicate, learning the steps to it and duplicating. So it's learning how to communicate. And then I talked about what is this? What is communication? What does it really mean? And I explained that a few minutes ago, and we go into detail in the class. It's an example of what communication should really look like. The intended meaning, the sender's reality of what they're trying to communicate. The question is, look at the other side, the perceived meaning. Not meaning, perceived meaning. What did this person get out of what she said? And that's why he has to communicate back. He may have a totally different reality than she has. Might be totally different because either she didn't say it right or he didn't listen. But here's the real problem. This is George Bernard Shaw, one of the greatest playwrights of our time. Problem is, the single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place. We believe that that person heard something that maybe you didn't say. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But that's the biggest problem, is the illusion that it actually took place. But that really means just because you're talking doesn't mean they're listening. So we cover that communication, and then we talk about in this class what things to think about right away. What have you been doing, saying, and what do you actually do? What is it that you tell people that you do? Do you know that? Do you have a really set answer for that? And if you don't, it's time to change it. You change your words, you change your life, your business life. Life, for that matter. And then we talk about, a bunch of quotes that we put in here and phrases, but this is one of my favorite ones by a Chinese philosopher, teacher, actually the originator of Taoism, which this was the way he said it. You've heard me say this, but I'll say it in a different way. But if you do not change direction, you may end up where you're heading. I like to say it as, be careful of the direction you're going. You might end up where you're headed. It's basically what he's saying here. Pay attention to the direction you're going. Have a plan. And what he teaches are these three basic things: simplicity, patience, and compassion. That's what we're talking about here. Creating a system that is so simple to understand, having the patience, not only for other people when you're speaking with them and trying to build a business, but patience for yourself to learn what it takes. Having compassion for others. Listen, the people that are on the other end, the prospects, they have no clue what they're up against when you're trying to tell them what it is. They're skeptical. And we have to understand that just because you got it doesn't mean they're going to get it. Can't get frustrated. We just have to hope that we give our message strong enough that we find the interested party, someone who says, I like to learn something new and I'm willing to do it. We have to teach those people, and we have to be compassionate through that process and understand that they may not get it on the first piece of conversation or the second or the third, which is why we use marketing tools to give them the message over and over and over again. But we go through a number of these. And this is the famous quote by Einstein. It's not the learning of facts, education. It's the training of the mind to think. And that's what we teach you here, is how to think. And that's why the director's call is so important, because we have to learn how to think. Through the class, we talk about telephone techniques. This, Mark, to me, this is so critical to learn things like being assumptive and learning what reflex questions are and how to use the QAQ format and avoiding gaps. If you don't have this class, you don't even know what I'm talking about. You have no clue what we're talking about. We cover this. We do examples of it while looking through the scripts. How many people know the parts of a conversation when you're dialing and talking to people? So when you're in the conversation, you know what part you're in. When they jump in and interrupt you and ask a question, where do you go back? If you don't know the parts of it, how are you going to go back? They could ask you right away when you first call them, well, tell me about your company, or why are you calling me, or where did you get my name? Which brings us, these are things we list in here, what a director really says about when they say, what do you do? If you're a director, you say a certain thing. If you're a director in training, you've got to say something different. You can't pretend you're the director. This nonsense of fake it till you make it stuff doesn't fly. And then we go into telephone scripts. We actually give you the scripts and the letter after you make an appointment with somebody. What are you sending to your people? How are you sending it to them? What are you saying to them? Does it look professional? Does it look like this? From the desk of, and Mary, as per our conversation, watch this briefing if they haven't seen it already. Does it look like that? Are you making it look professional? And then, getting back to them, telling them what we're really looking for. Are you able to answer these questions? We cover these in the class, all of them. Where did you get my name? What website was I on? If you say to them, look, you were on a website, or you answered, one of my, you filled out a form, and if they say, well, I didn't do any of that, or, you're cold calling, and they say, will this require money? Is it a pyramid? Is this multi-level or network marketing? How long have you been with the company, John? And, what is your company doing? Are you making any money? And what would I be doing? Well, I'm really not interested. So how do you get out of that one? What do you do? Just say goodbye and hang up? Okay, thanks a lot. Good for you. Goodbye. Or, I don't really have the time. Where do you go when this stuff happens? I realize you're sending the information, but why can't I just ask you something now? A lot of people say that. What do you say to these people when all this occurs? Are you really equipped? Do you have this in your toolbox? Now, I know there's a lot of people in uplines making money and all saying this stuff isn't important. I got news for you. It's very important. It took most of the people in every company that's making money years to make that kind of money. Do I have to sell or recruit my family and friends? How about that one? Because the perception is when you pick up the phone and start talking to somebody, Mark, you know that that's what they're thinking. When they find out this is a networking company of some sort in home business, they think, well, got to do it with my friends. They're skeptical right off the bat. That's why you got to have compassion, because these people have been taught the wrong things as well. They've been taught that the networking industry isn't a good one. Here's the answer to, do I have to sell to my family? How many people know this? How many people can answer this effectively? Or do they dodge it and say, no, or yeah, or yeah, you really... it's okay to share. Everybody shares. I mean, what do you say? Do you have a real answer? And there's the answer. Sure. No problem, Frank. You can talk to your family and friends. It's not required. What we're looking for are people who are honest and ambitious and work well with others and have at least 6 to 10 hours to learn how to manage a business with our company. But I think we're probably putting the cart before the horse. We don't even know if we have a match, right? That's what we're thinking. We need to get you the information, then get back together and see if we really do have a match. So are mornings good for you, or are evenings better to get back together again after you get the information? That's the way you answer a question like that. How many people can do that effectively right off the top of their head? I doubt. Then this is part one. That first class is almost an hour and a half. And then we just, direct them to get the copies of the class, the first part of it. And then we get to part two. And part two is, we tell them it's not the end. We get back to part two. We welcome them back for part two, and then go over what the director is all about. What should the director be doing? And let's go over the telephone script to introduce the director. And then we go into business strategies. What does your business strategy look like? How do you have it planned? Do you really have a game plan? Do you really know what it takes to achieve success? This is important stuff right here. I guess it's all important. Business basics, and then get down to the business plan basics. How do you write a plan? How do you put a plan together with your business? Look, without a plan, you're not going anywhere. And then we teach them 4 basic steps. 4 basic steps to writing out that plan, something to keep you on track. Tell them to get going with it. And then we teach them 7 basic steps here. Can you still hear me, Mark? Somebody's calling me, and I don't know if that's why they're calling me. Who knows?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yeah, okay, good. And the basics never change. So what do you do during the work time? I know Mark has a schedule that he follows, things that he does during that schedule. We teach people 7 basic things to do to keep you on track, to give you the work. And there they are. And then, teach people it's time for action. Never too late, right? And there's as old as you can get. When it's time for when it's time that action arrives, stop thinking about it and get in, jump in and go do it. But anyway, that's what, Mark, a quick view of what the class looks like now. And lots of the dialogue is the same in the class. We've added a lot to it, the business basics, how to set your business, how to make that all work. And pretty excited about it that we can teach people the right way to get going and then get in there. We have some things going on in one of my sections in a group where, people from above put people in and, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And I see they get a lot of people in who come in with big packages and then they disappear after it takes them 3 or 4 months, and then they run out of people because they convince people to come in with whopping packages and then they don't know what to do. They have no education in it. And then all of a sudden it dies out. This happened several times in one of my legs. I don't pay attention to that, Mark. I just, as you know, I'm more interested in the Mark Stevens of the world who know how to work, who have a plan, a game plan every day, who knows what they're doing and how to do it and knows how to talk. So anyway, Mark, that's just a quick look at what this looks like. And this isn't recorded yet. This isn't done yet. But this is the new version, and we're not going to do any more classes in the old version until this one's completely done. Should be a few more days.
I'll tell you this. Again, I mentioned it earlier, and we've been talking about this a long time. The terminology and perception, it has to make sense. And if you don't know how to communicate with someone, then you're not going to be able to really connect with them that well and everything. And again, people don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And if you care about someone that you bring into this business, then you need to share everything with them and encourage them to get the communication that they need, to get the tools that they need. Because, again, I always talk about, it's not the quantity of people, but it's the quality of people. The quality of people is going to produce the quantity that you want in your business, and it'll stay there, because you don't want to bring a lot of people in, and then after a month or 6 or 8 weeks, they disappear because they don't know what to do, and all they did was bought a package, and now I'm stuck with this package and whatever, but I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to talk with anybody. You have to have training. You have to understand how to communicate, because you're going to be talking to all types of people. And remember, it only really takes two of the right people to take this business to a whole new nother level. But how are you going to get those 2 right people? How are you going to get that person that's, that's honest and ambitious, and that they're willing to do what you show them? Because if they're not willing to follow directions, it's not going to work for them. But if they don't have the proper direction, it's still not going to work for them. So what I'm saying is, let's give them everything that they need to be successful, and in turn, we'll be successful. That's the way that it works in this business. And that's how we can get the 97% reduced down and get the 3% to grow. That's what we want to do. But you have to know how to do that. So that's what I think, Joe.
Yep, I couldn't have said it any better. So let's just hopefully people get that and start thinking about what their business looks like. That business plan. You have to have a business plan. We can show you a quick way to write a plan, what it should consist of. And if you're not having success now, I don't care what company you're in. I mean, this stuff that we talk about is good for every company, any and every company. So all you have to do is really understand. Start over again. If you're not getting out of what you've been doing, you're not getting the right things out of it, you're not making the right money, you're not getting this right, then start over. Start over with a plan. Learn how to write that plan out and then move into action. I'll tell you, you learn how to talk to people. You learn how to, confidently speak to a prospect to find out if they're an interested party. So you got to use teamwork. You got to find a director who's willing to learn as well and help. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mark, to say goodbye and have a great day, everybody. And I hope you learned something today, and hope you take advantage. And then, as Mark's doing, go to work.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Peace and blessings, everyone. Again, take what we talked about this morning and take a look at your business and a look at yourself, and, where do you want to take your business to? You have to know how to do it and how to share it. So with that being said, peace and blessings to you. We will be back here again next week, Tuesday, 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock West Coast time, those of you who are willing to get up. So let's get that activity and let's grow this business. The company has some great things coming, and it's just really getting started. Now, we know it's been there going on 5 years, or maybe 5 years already, but they're coming out with some great things behind the scene, and you want to be a part of that and grow with that. And you want to share that with as many people as you can so they can benefit from it and benefit from your knowledge. But you've got to be a good learner to be a good teacher. And to share this, you got to know how to communicate. And that's what we teach in this class. So peace and blessings, everyone. Go out and make it a great day. Make it a great rest of the week. And we will see you back here next week on the Breakfast Club. So this is Mark Stevenson, our host, Joe Shoup, saying go out, make it a great day, and we'll see you back here next week. Goodbye, everybody.